What are y'all starting to dislike the more and more older you get? Traveling, but not seeing the sights or any of that. I mean the actual transition from one location to another. I did a few trips in my 20s where I'd be finding all different ways to save money and go to as many places as possible. Overnight buses, sleepless nights, budget airlines, etc. Last trip was 4 years ago at 29 and haven't traveled because of the pandemic. Recently did my first trip since then and all the transition stuff between countries really got me tired. Early rides to airports, immigration, customs, security, waiting at the gate, budget airlines that charge for everything, waiting for the plane door to open so I can finally get off. Next time I'm just doing one country and flying an airline that will at least give me water. Fashion, or trends. The older I get and the more I see trends coming back over and over, I realize how dumb it all is. Wear a style that works for you and don't change your whole fucking personality and life because some paid influencer proclaimed thing is now in. I saw influencers hail crop tops as the best thing ever. Making TikToks then they can only be taken from them over their corpse, and then never wear any again. That I still have to work on past trauma. Like it's such a waste of time for me that I have to fix myself because someone else was too lazy to raise another human mature enough to not cause harm on another person. Like, such a waste of time in general that people constantly have to heal from each other. I'll never figure out why we are wired to be like this. I know it's Sir John Lennon, but it would just be amazing to be free without a worry and be able to be in the company of people unbothered by each other just staying true to their own shit. It's mind-boggling that people will choose relationship based on whether we can agree on almost everything or not, or that me not having the same view as someone else would be offensive to anyone unless it's crime-related and something that would hurt another human being, of course, but I mean. Why are we rooted enough in ourselves to never take anything personally, because we had to endure some broken human being along the way? I hate the phrase that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I don't know. Thanks for letting me vent. Drinking. As a former binge drinker who turned 30 this year, I can't stand waking up with a hangover and having several days of that fuzzy feeling in your head after a big session. Also can't stand other drunk people in general, the mess they make, litter, vomit, etc., the shouting, the fights and all the grief that goes with it. I'm not completely teetotal, but I never have more than 3 pints at the absolute most when I am out. And even then that's only a handful of times a year nowadays. Being too open in public, like on social media. I have already met multiple people who was too open about their feelings that others started using it against them. I also know a public figure in our country that basically has her life an open book, that even those small things they do on lunch is shared on social media. I have nothing against that is what a person prefers, but I am constantly seeing people starting to use personal things against her and her family. There is this constant reminder that often crosses my feed saying that the less you share about your life, the less haters and idiots can use against you. People. I'm getting cranky and increasingly fed up with having to deal or see people who have no consideration for others, usually in public. Narrow sidewalk. Let me just go in the very middle of it, arms outstretched to the sides, so I take the whole width. Quiet bus ride. Let me whip out my mixtape that everyone in the vehicle hears, it's so sick. Shopping going nicely. What if I stand sideways with the trolley and or my buggy bags and block the whole aisle, because I found that one jar of pickles particularly fascinating. Boomers. When the whole, okay boomer, thing was trending, I didn't jump on it because it felt overly aggressive towards my parents and people their age. But over the past few years I've become well versed in just how much the general boomer demographic fucked this country. Boomers are where Karens originated from. I have never experienced such a lack of general awareness, entitlement, and selfishness as I've experienced with boomers. They felt entitled to everything, and still do, with so many of them in positions of power that they should retire from, so much so that they put their kids in a suffocating amount of debt and then claim their kids don't work hard enough. Anything my in-laws, in particular, who are very entitled and just don't get it, give almost any advice, my reply has become, "Thank you for your advice, but things have changed drastically since you were my age and I don't think your advice and experience is very relevant at this point." They hate it, but I don't care very much. I've lost most of my respect for the generation that probably had it easiest, climbed the ladder to the top, and then pulled it up behind them so others couldn't climb. They were given the country in a pretty golden state and then proceeded to fuck it up. We have a lot to learn from the boomer generation, and they'd be offended to find out most of what I've learned is what not to do. People 70 and above, I know it's shitty, but no one, and I mean absolutely no one, can ruin my day like old people. Now, I'm 44, but I still feel like I'm a younger 44 than my dad was. Anyway, when I go to the store and I stand in line to check out and there is only one person in front of me that looks to be past 65, I immediately go to another line, usually seeking out a self-checkout lane, because they won't use it, but because I know that I'll slowly lose my temper as I watch them attempt to pay with a bank card or credit card, and it's always like the first time they've ever used it. And don't get me started on checks. I need a new social security card very badly, but I refuse to go to the social security office because I know it's crawling with old people. I have a P.O. box at my local post office and I just run in, grab my mail and get out. As I look around, there's a giant line of old people buying stamps or figuring out how to use their phone. I avoid the post office, government offices, drugstores and supermarkets between 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. I'm so fucking irritated right now. I need a drink. Aggressive stimulation everywhere. I used to live in the city where chaos was normal, and I didn't notice it much. I moved to the country and realized just how quiet life can be and how peaceful it is. Now when I go anywhere remotely populated, it's awful. Cars driving by, planes flying overhead, music blasting everywhere. Why does there have to be music playing in every store, at every gas pump, and advertisement everywhere you look? Bright street lights, bright headlights, jet noise, it all seems brand new and oppressive almost. Walking through a big store like Target or Walmart and being aggressively marketed to on every aisle, bright colors, meaningless slogans everywhere. The assault of ads everywhere I go online, the meaningless social media activity that is designed to sell outrage and elicit response. So yeah, all that. Pointless, narrow-minded judgments. For example, that it's seen as productive to get up early and lazy to sleep in. I'm not walking around calling everyone else lazy when I'm getting a ton done at 1 a.m. and they're all asleep. As long as neither disturbs other people, why does it matter so much when the work is done? Just because something works for one person doesn't mean it's the best option for everyone. Grown-ass 30-something kids asking me for money or a co-sign for a truck, etc. I tell each one of them to live within your means. I defined what I was talking about. I sat down with each to help make a budget for them. I was astonished at how much money each made, way more than I do now being somewhat retired. When I'm blunt and tell them they aren't spending according and shouldn't need to ask me for anything, they literally have a meltdown. I get the texts saying I never do anything for them. I did my job, I explain, but it's not what they want to hear. Oh well, I don't care. It's easier that way. Sadly, games. Not all games, but you start to realize how samey majority of the games are. I don't really want to play them anymore. Plus, when I do game, I tend to game for around 8 hours, so looking back I end up regretting how much time was more or less wasted, so that feeling kinda keeps me away from gaming. I do sometimes trick myself to play just a little, but yeah, it always end up being 8 hours. I love gaming, but it leaves me feeling more and more guilty. The LGBTQ community. I used to have a TikTok account that posted gaming stuff. By the time I created the ACC, a ton of that type of content kept appearing on my For You page, and I posted that 14-yo girls aren't old enough to identify as a lesbian, transgender, and shake their asses in front of the camera. Soon enough, some bisexual transgender male appeared on my comments section saying that TikTok is spreading diversity. I deleted the account cause I realized that bullshit app is fucking up teenagerhood. I think that social media can be harmful. There is the phenomenon of influencers who sometimes do harmful activities which followers endeavor to copy. People compare themselves to other individuals, which often leads to low self-esteem. Using cell phones can be dangerous for people texting and walking at the same time regardless of traffic and their surrounding environment. People can neglect their children and dogs when they constantly use their cell phones. I think that today's society is going downhill. Some individuals prefer FaceTiming rather than meeting in person. I think texting can be addictive. It can also result in rude behavior such as using cell phone in theaters, which disrupts the enjoyment of a film, plays, etc. for others. I believe that the impact of such devices results in less time spent in fostering real relationships between people. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on the best Reddit stories.